Combating deforestation. Fight to save forest is combating deforestation, and it means to control loss of forest, replanting of native vegetation, and restricting grazing and overuse to rejuvenate land to support local agriculture. Combating deforestation means we can make difference in the fight to save forest by consuming less, by avoiding single use packaging, by eating sustainable food, etc. Deforestation is the complete destruction of indigenous forest or woodland for its economic value or conversion into other land uses like agriculture, pasture, industries, urban development, mining, dams, etc. Deforestation may also occur for obtaining fuel wood or timber. Causes of deforestation. Forests are an asset for the country. 33% of the land should be covered with forest. Unfortunately, the forest cover of our country is only 21% of the country's total land. Now, forests are destroyed mainly for industrialization, acquire a lot of forest land and use up a lot of timber. Conversion of forest into agriculture land to cater to the demands of the growing population. It means to meet the demands of an ever increasing population. Forest area is being converted to agriculture land. Next is urbanization is also grabbing up a lot of forest land. It means that a lot of forest land is being taken up by the urbanization. So urbanization is the process through which cities grow and high percentage of the population comes to live in the city. Shifting agriculture or slash and burn agriculture is a practice destroying the forest cover. Shifting agriculture is a system of cultivation in which a plot of land is cleared and cultivated for a short period of time, then abandoned and allowed to revert to producing its normal vegetation while the cultivator moves on to another plot. Mining activities harm the forest by clearance of land surface for open cast mining or quarrying. Mining is one of the main causes of deforestation. The environmental impact of mining includes soil erosion, formation of sinkholes, loss of biodiversity, and contamination of soil. Groundwater and surface water also contaminated by chemicals from mining processes. Infrastructure developments like dams, reservoirs, roads, railways often need clearing of forest. Fires, accidental or deliberate, destroy forest in dry seasons and is very prevalent in Australia. Combating deforestation. It is estimated that more than 90 acres of forest is destroyed every day world over. This is an alarming rate which will lead to ecological imbalance. Thus, it is important to combat deforestation and save the earth from major disasters. Now, let us look at some steps that can be taken to combat deforestation. The first and foremost step would be to stop deforestation. One football field of forest gone every second. Since 2016, 28 million hectares of forest have been cut down every year, which is the one football field of forest lost every second of every day. Now the question is, why deforestation? The main drivers for the loss of forest are production of timber and the clearing of land for cattle, soy and palm oil production. So this is the reason why we should stop deforestation, and we can stop deforestation by practicing community forestry programs which involve the local people in forest conservation program, help in increasing the forest cover. Practicing joint forest management in partnership with local people conserves the forest. Banning the practice of slash and burn, which is also known as jhuming cultivation, where a piece of forest is burned to grow crop and then abandoned after a few years when the land becomes unproductive. Now the next step to stop deforestation is celebrating Van Mahotsav, that is the tree planting festival, to drive tree consciousness amongst people. and using alternatives to fuel wood, timber and other wood products, and avoiding the use of forest for other land uses like agriculture, building dams, roads, railways, industries, mining, etc. Now we can also contribute in combating deforestation by going paperless at home and in the office, and plant a tree where we can. By recycled, we can purchase recycled product and then recycle them again, and buy only what you will use, that is no wastage of wood or no wastage of commodities, and raise awareness in your circle and in your community. Reforestation. The term reforestation is similar to afforestation, that is the process of restoring and regenerating areas of woodlands or forests that may have existed long ago but were deforested or otherwise removed at some point in the past. Reforestation of large areas can be done through the use of measuring rope or properly measured plant spacing and dibbers for making the hole in which a seedling or plant can be inserted. Reforestation is a process of planting trees in a forest where the number of trees has been decreasing, and afforestation is where new trees are planted or seeds are sown in the area where there were no seeds or no trees before, creating a new forest. There is one more difference between afforestation and reforestation. Afforestation is defined as the planting of forest in a land which was formerly infertile. On the other hand, deforestation is defined as a depletion of the forest for human and commercial uses. Afforestation helps in converting a waste barren land into a green land. A database of the species of trees in original forest is required if indigenous forest has to be developed. If the forest is replacing with the only one species of tree and all other vegetation is prevented from growing back, a monoculture forest similar to agricultural crop would be the result. However, most reforestation involves the planting of different feedlots of seedlings taken from the area, often of multiple species. Energy plantation. Energy plantation is the practice of planting trees purely for their use as fuel. Terrestrial biomass, that is the wood plant, has been used since long time to generate fire for cooking and other purposes. In recent years, to meet the demand of energy, plantation of energy plants has been re-emphasized. Energy plantation means growing selected species of trees and shrubs that can be harvested in a short period of time and can be directly used as firewood or boilers, or they can be converted into methanol, ethanol or producer gas. These plantations help provide wood either for cooking in homes or for industrial use, so as to satisfy local energy needs in a decentralized manner. The two forms of energy forestry are short rotation Copic and short rotation forestry. Now in first type, that is the short rotation Copic, these are the crops of poplar or willow, and they can be grown for 2 to 5 years before harvest. And in short rotation forestry, where the crops of elder, ash, birch, eucalyptus, poplar and sycamore grown for almost 8 to 20 years before harvest. Now coming to the advantages of energy plantation. Now heat content of wood is similar to that of Indian coal. Wood is generally low in sulfur and not likely to pollute the atmosphere. Ash from the burnt wood can be used as valuable fertilizer. Utilization of erosion prone land for raising these plantations helps to reduce wind and water erosion, thus minimizing occurrence of floods. Minimized siltation and loss of nitrogen and minerals from soil help in rural employment generation. It is estimated that an hectare of energy plantation can provide employment for at least 7 persons, and selection of multi-purpose species provides a number of byproducts like oils, organic compounds, fruits, forage for livestock, etc. Now there is another example of advantage of energy plantation, that energy plantation is a method in which there is the cultivation of certain species of the plants can be used as a source of energy, and they can be used as an alternatives to the fossil fuel. This reduces the pressure on the fossil fuel, and due to the plantation there is the decrease in the problems like soil erosion. The pollution caused due to the decrease in the number of trees is also reduced. So these are the advantages of energy plantations. Forest harvesting of non-timber products. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization FAO defines non-timber forest products as products of biological origin other than wood derived from the forest, other wooded land and trees outside forest. They may be gathered from the wild or produced in forest plantations, agroforestry schemes, and from trees outside forest. In other words, NTFPs or the non-timber forest products, these are the any product other than timber that is naturally produced in forest and can be harvested for human use without cutting down trees. Think food items like nuts, berries, mushrooms and seeds, or non-food items such as oils, perfumes and medicinal plants. So these are the very good examples of non-timber forest products. What are the uses of non-timber forest products? NTFPs include plants used for food, beverages, forage, fuel, medicines, fibers and biochemicals. Animals, birds and fish for food, fur and feather, as well as their products such as honey, lac and silk. Bamboo tree is also considered a non-timber forest product under the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Act. What is the role of NTFP, that is the non-timber forest products, in sustainable development? NTFPs contribute to local economics, household food security and dietary risk minimization of forest dependent communities. Let us discuss the examples of non-timber forest product. Non-timber forest products include fruits, nuts, fungi, fibers, medicinal and ornamental plants, mosses, dyes, resins, gum, fuel wood, charcoal, leaves as fodder, poles for local constructions, honey, syrup, fish, as well as other animal products. Exploring alternative sources of livelihood. Most of the tribals living in and around the forest derive most of their basic requirements such as food, fodder, fuel, fruit and fibers from the forest. Extraction, processing and marketing NTFPs are still a major source of employment and income to the vast majority of these tribal people. Therefore, it is important to provide the tribal people with alternative sources of livelihood to save their forest from being overused and degraded. They can be given some land for agriculture or provided opportunities as daily wages employment. Forest-based activities provide a cushion to absorb surplus labor forces in the family and provide them with employment. They can be taught some skills like masonry, carpentry, pottery, handicrafts, etc., which would decrease the economic dependence on forest. Change in consumption pattern. Now, what are the causes of changing consumption patterns of consumer? Or in what way do our changing lifestyle and consumption pattern lead to biodiversity loss? Now, the changing consumption patterns have enormous implications for biodiversity. For example, a more meat-based diet requires more resources, that is land, water, energy, than a plant-based diet, thus affecting more habitat area and emitting more carbon dioxide. Now question may arise, how does the consumption pattern affect the environment and climate change, or we can say the deforestation? Now, consumption leads to the direct creation of environmental pressure from the use of products and services. For example, through driving a car or heating a house with fossil fuel, tourism is a fourth area caused high and growing environmental impact. Both every year 33 million acres of forest are cut down. Timber and harvesting in the tropics alone contributes 1.5 billion metric tons of carbon to the atmosphere. That makes up 20% of human made greenhouse gas emissions. Now, improved agricultural practices along with paper recycling and forest management, balancing the amount of wood taken out with the amount of new trees growing could quickly eliminate the effects of deforestation. While purchasing wood products such as furniture or flooring, buy used goods or wood certified to have been sustainably harvested. Now, consume less. The easiest way to cut back on greenhouse gas emission is simply to buy less stuff made of wood. Think green when making purchases. When purchasing essentials such as groceries, buying in bulk can reduce the amount of packaging, plastic wrapping, cardboard boxes, and other unnecessary materials. Sometimes buying more means consuming less. Managing forest grazing. Many studies have shown that properly managed forest grazing does not affect seedling establishment or growth in regenerating forest. Proper management of livestock can prevent trampling and browsing of seedlings, and when seeded vegetation is grazed, its competition with tree seedlings is reduced. Overgrazing is a condition which occurs when plants are exposed to severe grazing for extended period of time or without sufficient recovery period. It is either caused by domesticated livestock or by overpopulations of native wild animals. Overgrazing occurs when plants are unprotected to intensive grazing for extended period of time or without enough recovery period. It can be result of either livestock in poorly managed agricultural applications or by overpopulation of native or non-native wild animals. And overgrazing reduces the usefulness, biodiversity and productivity of the land and is one cause of desertification, soil erosion and deforestation. And it is also considered to be a cause of the spread of invasive species of non-native plants and weeds. Overgrazing represents an environmental hazard. So, as far as causes of overgrazing are concerned, so overgrazing occur due to the number of increase in the number of livestock like cattle, goat, sheep. The grazing land can sustain. It means when the number of livestock is more than the green area. Now the next reason is when the livestock is grazed over the same patch of land again and again without giving it sufficient time to regenerate. The unavailability of food drive the cattle to eat away all the available grass and even uproot the grasses. The cattle owners might be so poor that they might not be able to stall feed the cattle. Now, what is stall feeding or stall grazing? Zero grazing is also called stall feeding. The animals are kept in an animal house called a stall. The farmer harvests the pasture or green land or fodder and takes it to the animals. It is very popular in keeping dairy cows for milk. The other cause of overgrazing is the lack of knowledge and awareness of the consequences of overgrazing amongst people, especially the cattle owners. Now coming to the consequences or results or impact of overgrazing. Now overgrazing leads to heavy environmental consequences. Some of them are given below. Now here the overgrazing reduces the usefulness and productivity of land. It decreases the biodiversity of the place. It leads to soil erosion. Overgrazing leads to desertification. Overgrazing may also cause the spread of invasive species of non-indigenous plants and weeds. and overgrazing ultimately leads to decline of livestock rearing due to non-availability of fodder grasses. Now, one indicator of overgrazing is that the animal run short of pasture or green land. Overgrazing by cattle reduces plant cover, eliminating the most desirable forage species first. This opens up the land to undesirable weeds, brush and trees and leads to increasing soil erosion and lower soil fertility. The end result of overgrazing is barren land, windstorms, erosion and floods. Now, control of overgrazing is a simple method of soil conservation, and it is to restrict the grazing of cattle, sheep and goats on grasslands and within forest. There are other ways to control of overgrazing. The cattle should not be left to overgraze in a particular area. Instead, rotation of grazing areas should be practiced. Sustainable grassland production is based on grass and grassland management. Social fencing is the practice of voluntary self-restraint on grazing of their cattle by the people. Stall feeding, rearing small herd of good breed can also help to control overgrazing. Now, why is controlled grazing important? Controlled grazing result in increased amount of forage harvested by animals, improved forage quality, extended grazing seasons, reduced fertilizer and herbicide applications, reduced labor and feed cost, fewer weeds and environmentally responsible grazing areas. National Forest Policy 1988. The principal aim of forest policy must be to ensure environmental stability and maintenance of ecological balance, including atmospheric equilibrium, which are vital for sustenance of all life forms, human, animal and plant. The National Forest Policy in 1988 made a very significant and categorical shift from commercial concern to a focus on the ecological role of the forest and participatory management. According to this, the forest management should include provision of sufficient fodder, fuel and pasture, especially in areas adjoining forest, which is necessary in order to prevent depletion of forest beyond the sustainable limit. One of the strategy is development of massive need-based and time-bound program of afforestation and tree planting with particular emphasis on fuel, wood and fodder development on all degraded and denuded lands in the country. The rights and concessions, including grazing, should always remain related to the carrying capacity of the forest. The capacity itself should be optimized by increased investment, silviculture research and development of the area. Stall feeding of cattle should be encouraged. The requirement of the community, which cannot be met by the rights and concessions so determined, should be met by development of social forestry outside the reserved forest. Grazing in forest areas should be regulated with the involvement of the community. Special conservation areas, young plantation and regeneration areas should be fully protected. Special conservation areas, young plantations and regeneration areas should be fully protected. Grazing and browsing in forest area need to be controlled. Adequate grazing fees should be levied to discourage people in forest area from maintaining large herd of non-essential livestock. Alternatives to timber. Now, use of efficient wood stoves which use dried wood and animal dung or dung cakes. Use of biogas is another effective alternative to fuel wood. The sludge residue can be used as manure in the agricultural field. Solar cookers can be encouraged. Use of pellets made of cow dung, sawdust or waste from the sawmilling can reduce the dependence on fuel wood. Rice husk pellets can also be used. Use of kerosene ration by the government may also help to reduce the uses of fuel wood. Pellet made from oil cakes, corn, wheat or bagasse can be other substitute for fuel wood. Alternatives to timber in building industry. Timber is extensively used to construct houses mainly in the cold countries. Prefabricated concrete and metals unit with appropriate thermal treatment could be used instead. The door and window panels can be replaced by metal frames. These days, polyvinyl doors and windows are also being used. Alternatives in the railways. The wooden railway sleepers can be replaced by concrete sleepers, and metal sheets could be replaced by plywood and timber in wagon fabrication. Alternatives in furniture industry. The use of iron, steel and plastic furniture. These days, eco-friendly office furniture is being used which are made of eco-friendly materials like bagasse. Fixed seating can be made of concrete or marble, and mattresses can be placed over it to make it comfortable. Alternatives in paper industries. Material containing natural cellulose such as bagasse, marsh reed can be beaten, pulped and made into paper. Recycling of paper also saves millions of trees. Timber recycling or wood recycling is the process of turning waste timber into usable products. Recycling timber was popularized in the early 1990s as issues such as deforestation and climate change became important concerns. It reduces the pressure on forest. Recycling timber is the environmentally friendliest form of timber production and is very common in countries where supplies of old wooden structures are plentiful. Timber can be chipped down into wood chips which can be used to power houses or power plants. The most common use for recycled timber is as a raw material for chipboard manufacture. Horticulture mulch can also be made from recycled wood. Animal bedding is another option. Surfacing for landfill cover and compost are other options for wood waste. Paper recycling is the process of turning waste paper into new paper products. Recycling 1 ton of paper saves roughly 17 trees. There are 3 categories of paper that can be used as feedstock for making recycled paper. Number 1, millbroke, that is the pre-consumer waste and post-consumer waste. Millbroke are paper trimming and other paper scrap from the manufacturer stage of paper and is recycled internally in the paper mill. Pre-consumer waste material are the one which left the paper mill but was discarded before it was ready for consumer use. Post-consumer waste are material discarded after consumer use like old magazines, old newspapers, office papers, old telephone directories and residential mixed paper, that is RMP. Paper suitable for recycling is called scrap paper. It can be used to make handmade recycled paper and cardboard. Recycled paper is often used in the packaging industry. Recycling of paper reduces the load of waste collection and disposal.